I suppose growing up around the South Inner City, it was always something that was around me growing up, and something that I've been kind of questioning, not only heroin but just addiction generally for my whole life. And when I got older, I became much more exposed to, I suppose, how the rest of society views addiction, and I wanted to do something to change that because it was very personal to me.
I think because over the process of us making a show about heroin, that I kind of learned so much and changed, my opinion changed and shifted so much. So the idea of this as a topic became much more important to me along the way, and realizing that there is a whole lot of injustice surrounding it, rather than, you know, people take heroin and they shouldn't take heroin. It's so much more complex than that. So for me, it's important to kind of keep investigating that and keep talking about it.
My passion for it came from when I was working in a mobile phone shop in the boom time, and I was selling SIM cards day in day out, and I was kind of started to notice that the people around me didn't have any respect for the people who were using heroin, who were coming into the shop to buy SIM cards, and that was something that I was naive about. That I didn't know that that there was so much stigma and so much prejudice out there around addiction. And when I went and talked to Rialto community drug team and asked them, I want to make something about this, I want to change the world through this, and they were like, okay, well, what do you actually know about it? And the reality was that I didn't know a whole lot about it. And then myself and Shane went through a process of becoming kind of experts about it, and just the reality of what we learned in terms of policy making and failed decision making on the part of the Irish state over hundreds of years that have led to this kind of situation was just overwhelming, and not something that I would have had any idea about before. And then in terms of naivety, there's more kind of simple things, like when I interviewed people who used the clinic, who were on a methadone program but also using heroin, and asked them what would be the one thing that you'd like to change about how people in the society view you. They all kind of came back with the same thing of, don't use this term junkie to describe me, which is something that I never would have known. Basically what I learned is that it's akin to saying the F word for people who are gay, or the K word for members of the travelling community, and I never would have understood that. So there's naivety on both sides, I suppose.